Are you ready to go back to church? Are you ready to speak in tongues? Are you ready to hear the sermon? Well, let's check it out. I'm Matt from Deafheaven, and I do music reviews. Thank you for coming on by. I appreciate it. Today, we are checking out the latest EP from the band Church Tongue called You'll Know It Was Me. Now, this band Church Tongue, if you've never heard about them before, they are a metalcore band based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, if I'm correct. And they've been around for, I would say, about 5-6 years now. They've had a very small, almost cult-like following because they've never been one of the biggest bands. I've heard of them here and there, but until recently, and I think probably a lot of people, because one of their members joined the band Knocked Loose, that definitely elevated their presence. But I did hear about them a little bit before that member joined Knocked Loose, and I would say they're a pretty raw and visceral band that talks about trauma, anger, and existential dread with their lyrics and just their overall visceral sound. And a good comparison, I would say, is if you took Every Time I Die and combined it with like The Chariot. If you're familiar with like metalcore and metal bands, I feel like those types of music, some metalcore and mathcore elements, are very infused in this band's DNA. And if you're really into heavy, chaotic music, you're definitely going to want to check this band out. And this latest EP from Church Tongue, You'll Know It's Me, is a towering statement of intent because it's an unrelenting blend of dense metallic hardcore, post-hardcore emotion, and blackened textures that are all wrapped up in a nice, sharp, and modern production. And across these 6 tracks, I would say the band just doesn't really they don't just double down on their heaviness. They're really pushing their songwriting abilities here into more expansive and experimental territories, blurring the lines while also refining their own punishing elements of their sound. From the first notes of the song Heart of Darkness, the band is immersing the listener into some thick and crushing riffs. And these riffs rumble with a very carnivorous and almost precise weight to them because the guitars are ringing out and they have a weird decaying feel to them that makes all the breakdowns on this track sound very both hollow and overwhelmingly dense at the same time, creating an atmosphere that is just very heavy but extremely haunting. The drums are a highlight throughout this EP, especially on this track, because they're very tight, precise, and relentless. They keep the momentum going throughout the whole EP without ever feeling too mechanical. They have a very fluid and very natural feel to them. Then you combine that with a bass tone that is just, not just supportive, but also very commanding. The rhythm section here just gives every song a very solid backbone that is just rattling your whole body as you listen to it. Vocally, the EP is on a whole nother level of showing emotional rawness that cuts deep, because there's a very visceral, almost unhinged edge to the delivery with the vocals, but it also remains very controlled and purposeful. And I think a good example of that is on the song Heart of Darkness, the opening track here. The vocals just have a really good sense of control with their breathing and overall screams that just balance out really well. So here's a clip of that for you right now. He's got real talent in terms of showing his vocal styles with this unclean singing he's got here. On the song One Hand Wrapped Around the Sun, the band seems to tap into a very similar sound that is reminiscent of Poison the Well, but heavier, balancing sharp backing vocals and intricate guitar work that managed to feel both crisp while also very crushing at the same time. Backing vocals on this EP, whether they are sharp and pained or guttural and massive, they just add a lot of depth and texture to the songs and never really ever feeling very cluttered. They're always just put in at the right time and are mixed in really well. Another thing that doesn't seem really too cluttered on here is the guest features from members of Twitching Tongues, Initiate, I think that's the band's name, Deafheaven. All these features from these bands are all seamlessly integrated and offer a very fresh and contrasting and emotionally like weighted feel compared to the main vocals, and they're never really detracting from the overall feel of the songs. They just, are blended in very nicely. And I think a good example of that is on the song When It Betrays with Colin Young from Twitching Tongues. The way his clean vocals come in, they're very precise and just add a nice melodic element to the track, making it probably one of the EP's most standout moments. So I'm going to play a clip of that for you right now. The balance between those soft vocals and those heavy vocals, they just work really well here. Crystal Pak's feature on the song The Fury of Love really elevates the slow, almost doom-laden atmosphere with some real good clarity and overall precision. I think it was a really good choice to add George Clarke from Deafheaven on this EP, especially on the final track here, because his high-pitched blackened shrieks really help close that song out and close the EP out and really give it a very nice and truly avant-garde and haunting finale. And what sets this EP apart from other bands at the moment right now is the fact that the band is willing to experiment with their sound. And like examples are like whether they're trying to slow things down and have more of a punishing, almost ritualistic churn to it, like on the song The Fury of Love, or the ripping aggression on the song Bury Me 1,000 Times. There's just some really good moments on here that just show that the band is willing to take risks, and they kind of work out pretty well. Or on like the title track of this EP, You'll Know It's Me, they do this kind of interesting acoustic introspective moment at the beginning of the song that has some really cool harsh vocals with some avant-garde style distortion to it that, the band confidently just shows that they can stretch their sonic palette in many different directions and don't really get pigeonholed too much to their sound of metalcore or mathcore. They sprinkle in really good different elements here of different genres that help elevate their sound. So I want to play a clip of You'll Know It's Me so you get a sense of just the experimentation that they're willing to do here. A ticking time bomb prolonged until I recognize. You would think that, the harsh vocals and those soft acoustic guitars wouldn't work really well, but they just work very nicely there. These shifts in sounds never really feel that jarring. Instead, I would say they provide a nice breathing space and tension that makes all the heavier moments just hit even harder. There are clear nods to black metal in this record in terms of both the vocal approach and the drum patterns. And I also like that, there's some subtle influences from the bands, I would say like Poison the Well and Twitching Tongues in terms of like the way that the layered guitar work and the melodic undertones really come together to sound like these bands that they are taking influence from. The production on this EP is very pristine without sounding too sterile. It's crisp. It's clear, yet it's still raw enough to capture the grit and sweat of the performances from the band members when they were recording this. You can feel them playing it as you listen, because every instrument on this EP is given enough space to breathe, and they balance everything out very well between, having some good clarity while also just bringing the chaos that is just finely tuned here. Ultimately, this latest EP from Church Tongue, You'll Know It's Me, is probably their most refined and ambitious effort they've put out. It honors their roots in metallic hardcore, but it also confidently kind of branches into new territory, embracing more dissonance, melody, and just atmosphere to equally balance out and measure up with their metallic hardcore that their roots are from. Fans of heavy music that also crave emotional depth and thoughtful composition will be very, very pleased and just feel very rewarded after listening to this EP. To put it simply, it's a record that, it simply doesn't hit hard, but, it lingers long after you listen to it. And it's a testament to a band that knows exactly what they want to do, and they know exactly where they want to head in terms of their future development and experimental with their sound. So I got to give it up to Church Tongue here. This latest EP they put out here, You'll Know It's Me. I would say I would give it a good and solid 8.5 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think. What are some other metallic hardcore bands you like? What was your favorite track on this EP? Have you seen the band live? Give any stories that you want. Till next time, guys, I will see you in the pig.